Samuel Doe, born May 6, 1951 in Tucson, Liberia, enlisted in the army at age 18, where he soon rose to the ranks of Master Sergeant in 1979. Tired of the special treatment granted to Americo-Liberians, or descendants of freed American slaves who founded the Liberian colony in 1822, he led an attack by a group of Crown soldiers on the Liberian Executive Mansion and killed President William R. Tolbert. Afterwards, 13 associates of Tolbert were tried and executed.
With President Tolbert now executed, the rest of his cabinet were arraigned to stand trial. The charges were the same in all cases: high treason, misuse of public office, rapid corruption and gross violation of human and constitutional rights. The military tribunal tried 13 government officials of the Tolbert regime, and though they pleaded not guilty, they were all found guilty and condemned to death by firing squad. A public execution took place on a quiet beachfront in Liberia, near the capital Monrovia. The condemned prisoners waited in a bus for nearly an hour, and looked on as crews erected the execution poles where they will be shot. This in itself was another form of torture for the condemned prisoners. According to the new leader of Liberia, these executions will mark the end to the country's years of oppression. The people of Liberia were eager and lined up in their numbers to witness the executions. The earlier these condemned prisoners were shot, the sooner Liberia will return to a civilian rule. At least, that was their mindset at the time. In a matter of minutes, these former government officials will all be dead. Some of the condemned men stood motionless. Others seemed dead before they were shot, while the lips of some seem saying what appears to be their last prayers.
This attack ended 133 years of rule by Black American settlers and their descendants, and Doe took over as Liberia's first indigenous president. His tenure wasn't any better, as he only promoted members of his Crown clan, neglecting all other ethnicities. He heavily censored the media, torturing and killing journalists who spoke unfavorably about his government. He was in good terms with the US under the Ronald Reagan administration after openly supporting US Cold War policies in Africa, and cut all ties with the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. After rigged elections in 1985 kept Doe in office, the people decided they had had enough, and an opposition movement began to form. Numerous groups sought to oust him from power. One of the groups, the National Patriotic Front, was led by Charles Taylor, a former ally of Doe's, who would later become president of Liberia. Towards the end of Doe's 10-year reign, he was generally viewed as a dictator by both Liberians and the international community. Support from the US was withdrawn. Because of that, Doe lacked resources to keep fighting. He made an attempt to flee the country on September 9, 1990, but his 60-man troop was intercepted by a prominent opposition group under the leadership of Prince Yormie Johnson. Doe had arrived at the ECOMOG headquarters on the invitation of his head, General Quinu. He assured Doe of his safety from the rebels. He arrived at a tricky time during a change in guard duty from the better equipped and well-armed Nigerian team of peacekeepers to the weaker Gambian contingent. Doe was escorted to Quinu's office, where he was formally welcomed, while his aides and guards waited outside. Johnson's rebels made a surprise attack by suddenly arriving heavily armed, disarming the entirety of Doe's team. They began shooting Doe's team. Upon hearing gunshots from outside, Doe expressed concern to Quinu, who excused himself to check on the situation. Upon assessing the situation, Quinu and his aide, Captain Coker, of the Gambian contingent, who had followed him outside, took cover and Doe was captured. Remarkably, no ECOMOG personnel was shot in the attack. The following day, on September 10, 1990, in a wildly televised event, Johnson ordered that Doe's ears be cut off to prove he was not protected by black magic, while Johnson sipped a Budweiser. His legs were shackled, some of his fingers and toes were amputated, and after 12 hours of torture, in which he begged for his life, he was finally murdered. His corpse had its head shaved and was exhibited naked in the streets of Monrovia.